What's up guys, NJ here. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about the Avata 2. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I put some content out, but that doesn't mean to say that I haven't been busy doing Avata stuff because, well, myself, Andy Kirby, my good pal, and also another guy called Chris, there's three of us working on a little project at the minute. And there'll be more coming up on that fairly soon. In fact, if you want a sneak peek at that, go over to Andy's channel. He's just dropped a vlog of what we did a couple of nights ago that will give away what we're working on. It's a really good fun video that captures the whole evening of us messing around with Avata 2. So yeah, I strongly recommend going and having a look at that. But yeah, as I said, I've been messing around with a lot of stuff over the last 5 videos that I put out of the Avata 2. I've had so many great comments, really nice comments as well. So thank you to all of you guys that do comment. I read every comment. I always try and reply to every comment. So, you know, please do engage with me if you have questions on any of this stuff. But yeah, the Avata 2. So there's a few accessories that I'm going to quickly talk about, and then a product, and we're going to talk about, as you've seen from the thumbnail, we're going to talk about the stick cam and the stick cam footage. We'll go over to that. There's one thing that I have tried. Like I said, I've ordered so much stuff and tested so much stuff on this drone, but there's one thing I do want to talk about that I do recommend, and I'll link this stuff in the description for you, which is these aluminium bull bars. And the thing I really like about these aluminium bull bars, first and foremost, they just offer that bit more protection from the expensive bit in the front middle here, the camera. They're not in the way of the shot at all, whichever way, because I've seen some of these products where they claim not to be in shot, but somewhere in the camera's field of view you'll find them, or you'll switch to ultra wide and suddenly there they are. These don't get in the way at all. They add that little bit of extra protection on the front, which I really like, kind of puts them in line with the bumpers, which means that if it hits a flat surface, you're spreading the load of the impact across those kind of all those things at the same time, which is good. You're absorbing that impact and dissipating that energy across more surfaces. That's a good thing. But the fact they're made of that light aluminium alloy is good, because aluminium is structurally strong, it's light, but to a point it will actually bend at a certain point. Now again, all of this stuff is subjective, depends on how you fly, where you fly. I don't do a lot of flying around concrete. If you're someone who spends all their time flying in bandos and concrete jungles, I mean, first of all, you're braver than me. I don't do it very often because crashing's part of flying FPV, and you know, these aren't really that robust when it comes to crashing into very hard stuff. You're kind of taking some risks there. But if you hit something like concrete, there is a point at which these will bend, and bending is good because that's absorbing the energy of a crash. Because if this part didn't absorb that energy and bend, what would happen is, if it was stronger, if it was made of a much harder material, all it would do is that crash energy, it would pass it through to another part of the quad. That crash energy has to dissipate somewhere. And if it goes further into the quad, it's going to end up breaking something more expensive that we don't want. So think of these as sacrificial. That's why I like aluminium parts, especially these, and that's why these sacrificial bull bars are a good thing. They'll be linked in the description. I'm going to do a separate video talking in more depth about bumper guards, and this is again something that Andy, Chris and I are working on, to try and make a product that is going to be beneficial in terms of its protection, because obviously people run bumpers to try and protect their drone, but the problem is there's a lot of bumper designs out there that are A, entirely too heavy, and B, they're also, from a fluid dynamic point of view, they're very, very draggy, and that drag that you get by adding, for instance, if you get these bumpers that have all these loops on, those loops, I cannot begin to tell you how much drag you're adding. Not only does that hurt the efficiency of the battery, it massively affects the flight performance. And then the more material, the more weight you add that is away from the center of mass and outside here, that is also going to have some leverage, and it's also going to affect the flying performance of the quad, and you'll get more of that kind of washout and dropping arms and stuff. That all becomes a negative. So it's a very fine balance, but again, it depends on how you fly. If you fly very slowly through houses all the time, you can add giant great paddy things on there, it doesn't matter. If you fly like me and you want to do nice, smooth, beautiful acro, that really does matter, and that does make a difference. And I've tested a ton of these and got some really good data on what will make a good set of bumpers. And of course, another reason why weight matters, especially if you're moving it out from center of mass like this out on the prop guards, is because we don't have control over the PID loop. You know, DJI from the FPV onwards gave you some control over the rates. They gave you some control over the exponential and the deadband. Those are all great things, but one thing they don't give us is control over the PID loop, and I really wish that someone would either hack it and find us a way to get control over the PIDs, or DJI would even just give us like 10% either way, because if you add more weight out here, you want to dial those P and D gains up a little bit. Those things are just kind of second nature if you've been doing this, you know, forever and usually used to things like beta flight. We don't have that, so they're only ever going to put a tune out for this thing as it is stock, in its stock weight configuration and its stock layout. There's you know, that's something that we have to make sacrifices on when it comes to putting guard material like this out on the outside. So keeping that as passive as possible from an aerodynamic point of view, keeping that as passive as possible from a weight point of view are essential if acro is kind of your thing. On the subject of other things people have been asking for, people were saying, can you do a stick cam video? And I quickly realized that I always used to do that with a GoPro, which I've since got rid of. So I needed to do it with my phone, and this company Telesin sent me this product, which is a magnetic neck holder, which I really like. Actually, it's been working perfectly, and we'll have a little look on the bench at this thing, because I used that to do this footage. So let me just quickly show you this. From this angle, what I can say is it's really nice, flexible, and it has a little clip in this side. So you basically put it on like this, clip it into place, and then you have a couple of arms which are, get out of the way of the mic there, really stiff, so it holds its position. You've got kind of three hinge points, so you can really get the phone angled the way you want. You've got a magnet here. It does come with a spare. If you're an Android phone, you're not running MagSafe, you can stick one of these onto your phone. I've actually, on the back of my Samsung Fold here, which is a very awkward shape for doing this kind of thing, I've got one of these metal plates on mine for when I mount this in my car, which it sticks to absolutely fine. So stick that on there, and now I've got top down of while I'm filming my sticks, which works really well. And obviously the microphone's right here, so it picks up any commentary that I have too. And then it comes as well with your standard kind of cleaning isopropyl wipe to before you stick this thing down, and then it comes with a little instructional manual and a lanyard, because they obviously suggest running a lanyard on this to your phone so that, you know, if it did come off of that magnetic mount, which I don't think it would, this is super strong, at least you've got kind of a backup to hold your precious phone. But yeah, I really like this. I'm going to link this in the description, but especially because the whole thing kind of just folds down nice and flat like that. That is quite a nice little footprint, so I can put that in my Avata bag, no problem, and will continue to do so and film with this. So very cheap as well. If this interests you, if you want to do stick cam stuff, one of these is great. Anyway, let's have a look at the video. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on here. Now, this is actually a brand new spot to me. So when I'm flying a brand new spot, the first thing I do is I try and get a good feel for the lines that are available, the kind of places I'll be picking up speed. So the main thing is to explore those lines. Don't start going crazy with acro. You'll see during this flight, I pretty much do know acro, a couple of split S's maybe, but this is really about finding out what's around me, what kind of lines I can maintain. And you'll see how little my hands move. It's always, for me, about being as smooth and controlled as possible on the sticks. Because the more you start being erratic, as I've always put it this way, large input, large output. If you're very subtle on the sticks, you'll get very nice, subtle, clean movements with the quad, and that will get you some nice, smooth footage. And this stuff, guys, it's muscle memory. You just have to go out there and practice it. But as I've said, being smooth on the sticks is something that I made a conscious decision to bring into my flying. And this is a habit from very early on, when we didn't have things like Rocksteady or Gyroflow. And if you wanted smooth footage, even, you know, the cameras didn't have image stabilization built in. You wanted smooth footage, you had to fly smooth on the sticks. You had to avoid prop wash, all of these things, which are just generally great habits. So that's what I'm aiming to do. But here you can see I'm doing lots and lots of exploring, trying to discover those different lines. You'll see in a short while I'll go into the woods and very tentatively fly around there, suss out the gaps, try and see if there's any potentially bad areas of scraggle that might catch me out at high speed. So really that's the kind of objective when I'm sussing out a new spot like this, before I then start getting into doing the acro and filming to try and get those nice maneuvers incorporated into the nice lines I'm flying here. So as you can see, this stick cam neck brace system worked really well. As I said, if you like to do this kind of thing, and it's, you know, it's a good thing anyway to keep a track of what you're thinking and talking about while you're flying, and also to be able to step back from it and look at what you're doing with your hands and match it up to what's going on in the air. So from an self-analytical point of view, I think this stuff's really good. So there will be a link to that in the description if that product interests you. Like I said, it's very cheap, and I'm pleased with the build quality. It's a nice piece of kit. Small footprint, goes in the Avata bag with everything else. If it can all fit in the Avata bag, I'm happy. So anyway, I'll leave you with the rest of this flight, and stay subscribed, stay keeping a close eye on the channel, both mine and Andy Kirby's. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. Thanks for watching, guys.
Wicked that. Nice, that was really nice. That was nice and smooth. You sort of avoid any of the issues, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay, basically don't dump the throttle.
Yeah.
It's not your friend with that material on the outside. There's so much to explore.
There is, isn't there? Something ain't right.
Alright, don't be nervous. I'm just going to go up to the camera. Don't worry about that. Oh, that made me jump. That noise.
Something's up here. It's not going into full power though. It's all like 6 megabits a second or something. Maybe a restart will fix it.
There's just the right amount of gaps between most stuff
I know.
to have some fun, and it's
Yeah, it's
unnervingly.
good, isn't it?
The problem is it's really confidence inspiring,
Yeah.
and it could go wrong at any time.
There you are. You're coming.
Is that better?